Start with the tier list, shall we? We're going to be ranking these on quality of advertising they each do, primarily on TikTok. As a marketing platform, it is, in my opinion, the best. Rank how these companies utilize this in different ways. We are going to start with not exactly an indie game studio, but an indie animation studio. This is Studio Flimpo.
This is Jackie, and her world is disappearing.
We are Studio Flimpo,
A new indie animation studio we started in our basement.
and thanks to your support, we're gonna make the show we want to make.
So first off, we notice that they are primarily marketing themselves as a studio, documenting their production cycle, what they're going to be doing.
It's an adult comedy horror series following Jazz's spinal art student. Her first semester hurdles into cosmic horror as people, places, and concepts vanish from reality, with no one remembering but her.
We've been working on this project in secret for close to a year, but for the next 6 months, we're going to be sharing our production process every step of the way.
From character design, storyboards, casting voice actors, all leading up to a crowdfunding campaign this summer. We want to make something that's not only artistically and narratively innovative, but also built on healthy labor practices.
I like this. They pretty much established themselves as a studio, what they value. It's the classic David and Goliath story. This is what we're aiming to do. This is our mission. You should support us in doing this. I think there's a few problems with this kind of strategy though. And I feel like it takes away from the product they're trying to deliver, the animation, and you have people who are more connected to them as a studio than the actual animation they're trying to create. And so yes, you're kind of raising awareness, but the people who are interacting with your videos may not be interested in the product you're trying to deliver. They're just interested in you and your story. They might want to support it. If it's like free on YouTube, they'll probably check it out. But if you're trying to get something like funding on Kickstarter, it may not be as successful. I'm not really all that opposed to this kind of strategy. I think I prefer stuff that actually shows the product and makes someone want to make a purchase other than just like doing this. I think this is good if you wanted to raise money, raise awareness. Let's go to our next one, Aggro Crab. Because it's basically just taking the form of they're doing what content creators do and just doing it themselves.
To block enemy attacks. They'll take 0 health damage, but your shell's durability will deplete. When the shell is on its last few hits, it'll start to flash red to warn you before it breaks, leaving you as a naked little guy.
Introductory, like, oh, this is how our game works. Nothing too crazy. Again, I think it's nice for like as a content perspective. I don't know if it succeeds as well as like a marketing effort though. Getting people to actually purchase the game. Like, does it tell you what it is about? But like they have such a wide variety. I do think that the person is a very talented marketing manager. Okay, they do what Studio Flimpo does better, I think, because they maintain it around the product itself and like the release game date and stuff. Whereas I feel like Studio Flimpo did it more so surrounding the studio. If they focus like here's a production cycle on the animation, they are doing that with the like voice calls and stuff. Which is like it's good community engagement. I think I'll give it an A. I think it's good. I think there is a plus like in explaining core concepts of your game, being like giving like also utilizing it as a community update platform. The way they use it is pretty much to do everything. I honestly I think I really like actually I think I'm the more I talk about it, the more I like it. The good people at Devolver Digital. This is one of the biggest indie game publishers in the world. They publish like all my favorite games. They publish Inscription. They pretty much publish anything. Super excited for this one. Pepper Grinder is another game. But a primary focus of their marketing strategy, on TikTok at least, is basically the pitch method. So let's take a look.
Have you ever boxed a badger and lived to tell the tale? How about jetpack over miles of bedroom? Well, then you must not be as skilled as the plucky squire, Jot. Jot is on a quest to save his story from the malevolent
It's a very hard thing to describe an essence of a game in like 3 to 4 sentences. I think just letting the game speak for itself is a lot better. Yeah, I mean, the pitch method is definitely necessary when because a lot of games are very hard to describe and they aren't exactly the most gameplay. Basically, they aren't visually engaging. Think of like, visual novels, RTS games, even games like Baldur's Gate 3 aren't games that like visually striking to the player. They are very mechanically rich and in depth and they're so much fun. But if you're just seeing them for the first time and have no context what the game is, you might just be bored and be like, what is this? Why does this matter? And so things like this are a good way to give you the rundown what a game is, but a lot of them, honestly, to me, feel kind of samey. They feel too much like an ad, and I think that's kind of my core problem with them. Now we'll go B tier. It does do its job in informing the consumer, but other than that, it's okay. Oh, actually, no, I do want to show a good version of this. I think it is very hard to give pitches, but when it's done well, it's done really well. So let's look at this.
Another Devolver hit, congratulations to the huge indie publisher, is Children of the Sun. I'm a recent convert to the Church of Leaderboard Fiends, and Children of the Sun already feels like we're going to be singing its praises in the pews every.
The way they describe this is so good. Singing their praises in the pews, like it ties into like the themes of the game. It's just so well written.
Off cult members, but you've only got one shot. And, you can control the bullet after it's shot. Your vantage point is kind of fixed on a trail, so you can only see so much of the arena you're about to rain hell upon, but that's what makes the puzzles so satisfying. You have to weave between enemies across this large space, past walls, behind a building.
So they're stealing the gameplay, and they're being like, okay, this is why it's fun, it's interesting, it's great. I love this. I think it's really hard to like concretely like sync up what like a game is. But this guy does it, No Clip Crew does it so well. It sells you on like the aesthetic of the game, the core gameplay loop, and why it's satisfying to play. I've tried to play like a bunch of indie games and try to like accumulate what they are, and it's not as easy as it feels. Like you can say this is a first person shooter mixed with Dark Souls elements, but like I feel like it's kind of selling it short just using that comparison model, where you can use like these kind of senses that like rich with texture and like very descriptive and give you the vibe and everything. Is like, this is so good. This is so good. This is like when it's done perfectly. So yeah, I think B tier is kind of where it belongs. I think when it's done good, it's done so good. But let's take a look at my good friend Socrates Lab. I actually just found this one out like not too long ago. So already we're noticing no dialogue, no marketing PR person being like, this is what our game is. This is just raw gameplay. This is like edited. Honestly, this is my favorite. Okay, what do we know? Well, the music is very like derivative of like games like Banjo-Kazooie, Donkey Kong. We can see it's like, oh, it's like maybe a semi-open world. The art style really pops out at you. Like just visually is very reminiscent of like those elder N64 games, GameCube games. And it's so just visually striking. That's just so fun to look at. And the music, a lot of games where like, again, like Baldur's Gate, where it's not as visually appealing, but it absolutely does for this. It's done like look at that guy. It's like, if you're into these kind of games, you're gonna love this already, just by like the art style and like the gameplay you're seeing. This looks delightful. Isn't S tier? I think just showing what the game is honestly does a lot, because the people who are going to be interested are like going to be able to identify it. Obviously it doesn't work for every game, but I think even like when you have like a solid soundtrack, a engaging art style like that is able to stand out like that game has, it's fantastic. Lastly, we have the shitpost style.
Now the main problem area is up here. All of this going on up here is what's causing me the most physical discomfort.
Yeah, it's basically just making unfiltered posts imaginable to get mass attention. These are really good for like getting those like, I guess, viral hits. Yeah, they're just really funny. Like you don't even have to be a fan of the game to be like, oh, Dan DeVito as a lamb. Perfect. Great. I love that. When they're done wrong though, like the worst thing you can be as a brand is cringe. No one wants to be cringe. No one wants to be posting cringe on main. Like, come on guys, what are we doing? I think it doesn't really convince you of what to buy the game or like what even the game is, but it's just great for raising that brand awareness. So I think it's an A tier. I think it's very fun. It gets like that virality essence going, makes people engaged with your profile so you can like actually advertise to them later. It's kind of a good time. Does my opinion matter? Well, it doesn't. My opinion is trash. I have no experience with actually marketing a game or anything to that bit in that matter. I'm just a marketing student who recently graduated, and I'm trying to figure out what marketing strategies I like and dislike. I think this is a good way to like discuss those concepts. I don't want to be talking shit on companies that I have no experience with. I want to basically distill what I liked and disliked about all these companies and then apply that to a pitch in the style of like Devolver Digital or when to try and do that. Because it's hard. I think the people who run these accounts are extremely talented, far more talented than I am, and they deserve all the praise and renown for doing their jobs very well because these are very commercially successful games, I feel like. And I don't want to talk shit unless I'm going to do it myself. So hopefully, stick around and I will be trying to post more material. We'll see how it goes. But yeah,